Okay.
Ooh, you have the audio mixer too. Okay.
Hello. Hello. Welcome back, Sleepy. How's it going?
Yes. Oh, Salugi? Salugi.
Salugi. Sleepy Salugi.
I love that's a 3-3.
Hello, Charlotte.
Have the artist joining us. I'm so happy. I'm like, hell
Yeah.
yes. Because we don't have that many tagged arts, so it's nice.
Hey, yes, I was surprised actually by the overwhelming number of programmers compared to the number of artists.
Yeah,
That's very
it's
fun.
kind of sad. Like I wish there were more.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
if you know artists, definitely
Invite them.
yeah, invite them. Like people need artists. So
Okay,
yeah.
I'm
I feel
into
like
it.
this always happens for game jams. There's always
I know.
90% programmers. It's really hard.
Ugh.
Like artists are very precious. Yeah.
Hard thought out. Well, at least add me and Rosa, so we're like 5.
Yeah.
At least we're 5.
Yeah.
We're like us two or two also 2 artists. So at least there's that.
Yeah. I'm like a multitask person though. Like I kind
Me
of
too.
touch
Me too.
everything.
Yes, yes. I completely understand how you feel.
Yeah.
I'm like that too.
No,
Artists are
I'm not
precious.
officially an artist.
No,
I'm
but
not.
artists like are rarer in game jams.
Yeah, they're very rare.
Yes, we love our precious artists.
They're like
Yes, yes,
diamonds.
yes.
Okay, so I guess we could
Oh my God,
get started.
yes.
I feel like we have more people now than the
Shine
previous
bright like a
workshop.
diamond.
This is pretty cool. All right. So so today we're going to talk about art pipeline 101, or we're just going to discuss
Art related.
yeah, so tips and things you should do as an artist, and things you should avoid for, well, specifically for game jam. So thank
Right.
you everyone for joining us. So where should we start? Do you think we should start with 2D art and then move on to 3D art or something like that?
Oh, we could. Yes, we could go with that. I feel like for game jams in general, artists are like I, I think we mentioned this before, but there's not really like a pipeline, like a specific order of what you're supposed to do. It's more how you would prioritize your own things in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
Like for game jam specifically, it's not like because if you were to work on a longer term project or video game that you're making, then you would have all of these like pipelines and like the
Yeah,
back and forth
you
and
would start with
checking.
the concept art, and then you would
Right, you start like yeah,
making it more detailed, and then maybe doing storyboards or something if it was a story game.
exactly.
But
Yes.
I guess for game jam, it's okay to do a sketch storyboard.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes. Yes.
So there's no problem with that. But when it comes to, if you're doing like a quick game, like so a game that's maybe more reminiscent of like a mobile game,
Right.
there's not really that much time to you do different iterations of art. But I think it probably is still a good idea to do sketches.
Right. Yes, to show your ideas to, especially if you're working with other artists, so they kind of get the idea of what you're going for or what you're trying to propose, for sure.
Okay. Um, I don't know
Uh,
when you wanted to start with.
because I think game jam is kind of, I don't know. I feel like as an artist, it's kind of all over the place sometimes. I like for the like the different competitions I've done, it's kind of like, well, you have your basic assets, right? It's like if they want you, if it's a third person point of view and you have the character, like like that's you kind of start to know like what's a priority and what's not. What's more concerning was what I mentioned in like the game jam 101 discussion before this, where it's like you sometimes have your own vision of how you want the game to look like, and then you have to really balance and compromise for the team's point of view, and not like I don't know. I don't know if like all artists are like this, but sometimes if you get really stuck on an idea, you have to take a step back and really evaluate like how much of this idea is it worth versus like what the team really wants and what we really need right now.
Yeah. So to branch off with that, so since I mean, if you're using a game engine or something,
Mm-hmm.
a good advice for artists is to not try to like have every single element in the game needs to be piece by piece. Like, don't create an entire scene that can't be modified later. It's always better to like
Right.
maybe like do small pieces that could be positioned wherever you want in the game. So like a lot of like an easy way of doing games is like with tiles. So
Mm-hmm.
as an artist, like instead of doing the entire scene from scratch, just do like the little individual pieces, like blocks of, if you're like building a house, for example, just make a block for like the wall, and it's the programmers or the level designers will just
Right. Place it.
place it how, well, I guess they could communicate with the artist like what they're
Yeah.
like, how do you envision the house. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just easier to manipulate, and if like later on there's problems, you could easily modify it and make it work. So little pieces are probably recommended.
Right.
Exactly like Minecraft.
Minecraft is a very good example because
Yeah,
it's kind of because the game, the level is built in a way with block like with pieces together, and you piece it together.
yeah. And
How would
hmm?
how would you say in a game jam, what's the first thing the artists do? I find oftentimes after the brainstorming, like as an entire team, the first thing I try to settle down on is the art style. So like what kind of feel or like vibe or like aesthetic, quote
Yeah, well,
quote,
like
we're going
I guess
for
I guess you kind of
that matches the
discuss with
idea.
the others what kind of setting you want your
Mm-hmm.
game to be. So if you want it in space, then you're like already how you have like an idea of like, okay, well, in space I'll have like stars and like solar systems and things. But then you
Right.
kind of, if you're, once you're set on the setting, you could go on like kind of the feel of the game. Is it going to be a goofy game? Is it going to be a serious game? So then,
Right. Right.
in that aspect, if it's a goofy game, you could start thinking of funny things you'll find in space.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's more serious, maybe, well, in general, more serious games will maybe have more detail to it, I find.
Right.
So,
Right.
in that aspect, you kind of have to discuss what kind of feel does the team want to focus on, because usually me personally,
Mm-hmm.
I always kind of tend to go towards funny. I like
Right.
goofy things because
Mm-hmm.
I like having fun when making a game. But maybe
Yes.
like my
Yes.
teammates disagree. Maybe this time around, this game jam, they'll want to do something serious.
More
So
more detailed.
yeah, the more serious, the more detail and things like that.
I think one of the reasons why detail, maybe I don't know, you can confirm me on this. Maybe it's that we're going for more like a silly I would say even more cartoony type of blocky type of art style
Mm-hmm.
is because it's faster to do, right? In a way, because
Yeah,
if you're doing really high polygon, high poly stuff, that takes a longer to texture to like render and
yeah.
etc etc. Like it takes longer to like tweak it and make it look nicer.
And I also feel
Um,
that it's also maybe harder to communicate with other artists in a team
mhm.
how things are going to look specifically. Because if it's
Right.
cartoon, the lesser detail, like the easier I
Yes.
think it is maybe to match the other artist's art style. But if
Yes,
it's
that's very
more
true too.
detailed, I might be wrong on that. Because if it's like comic book style, like people, artists, comic like silly style could
Right.
be very
Right.
very dynamic in completely different ways. So So I'm kind
Right,
of
that's very
second
true.
questioning myself on this because maybe the more detail, if it's like approaching real life, there's not many ways that you could kind of
Mm-hmm.
have different versions of like real life representations. I don't know.
Right,
Do you
right.
think what do you think? Do you think more cartoony is harder to match between artists or more
I was
realistic?
thinking more it might matter between 2D and 3D because I was thinking when I was talking about high poly, low poly, I was specifically talking more about like modeling and like
Oh
3D.
yeah.
I was specifically more talking about my bad, I didn't mention that, but I was
Well, I
more
was yeah,
specifically
but
talking about 3D. Yeah.
it applies as well for like art as well,
Right.
like 2D art. Um,
Yeah. 2D art, I think it's harder to match, honestly. I think
yeah,
it's even harder to match because it's so like on a flat surface and it's so like there's no angle or any like it has to match
yeah.
that specific style.
I feel like people's personality really get emphasized on for 2D art as opposed like
Right.
3D art is maybe easier to match.
No
I think.
way. Yeah.
Um, well, yeah, but going back to your point for if you're
Mm-hmm.
doing a game with 3D models,
Right.
definitely 100% cannot stress this enough. Avoid highly detailed models.
Yes. Yes.
Like, do not even think about uh,
Low poly.
no
Yeah.
high poly. Yeah,
Oh, high
you
poly. Sorry. Yes.
avoid high poly because
Yes.
um, even if things might look better, so I'm gonna show you right now in my stream. So I opened up
Mm-hmm.
like so these are like I'll just like side note right here. For 3D
Okay.
models, if you want to use them, there's like a couple websites that you could like find them easy if
Yes.
maybe you don't have enough experience or time to find specific models. You could use one which is pretty popular. It's called Turbo Squid.
Yes.
There's Sketchfab,
That one.
and there's
Mm-hmm.
Free 3D. Those are the ones I've used the most.
Mm-hmm.
And so if like let's say I'm looking for a bat as a model,
Yes.
so it'll just load, I guess. Maybe I could look for the other one. Oh, here it's already open. Um, so if, for example, I take this monster here, will it show like the number of polygons? Maybe it
Mm.
does. Wait, show more. I guess this website doesn't really show. Okay, well here I know it will show. So if you like take for example a model like online, like this looks very beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, and you would assume, oh well, why don't I just take this because it looks so beautiful and I don't need to spend any time whatsoever on it because it's already made.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take into consideration that if I select this picture, for example,
Yes, this one.
there's so many high polygons on this, it might like slow down your game and cause a lot of problems later on. So that's a reason why you really have to be careful when making your models or choosing them online, especially. So when you
Not to
go,
mention it's $350.
hmm?
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention it's 350
Yeah, well, I
bucks.
mean, there's some that are free that are equally as like detailed, and so you could kind of scour here. You could here poly count for example.
Right.
You could maybe I don't know if 20 might be too low, but oh, maybe bat wasn't the right
It's pretty high, I
example.
think.
Well, like, the bat is now like a baseball bat. Oh, here. So here you go. Like this bat. I don't even know what this is. Um. Okay, here there's a collection. So maybe you want to choose a bat from this collection, and it's very very simple. And this is something you'd
Mm-hmm.
want to look for as opposed to the one I found earlier. Try to choose ones that only have a couple visible squares on them, and you should be fine during the game jam. I've personally had problems with people accidentally taking really high polygon objects, and it would like completely slow down the game to the point where it's not playable anymore. So, yeah.
Oh no, that's not good. That's not good.
I guess I could link the websites to resources like Turbo Squid. I'll supply them for you guys. There you go. You could like maybe continue talking for our next point or something.
Yes. I was talking, I wanted to talk like apart from like art style, like what is it called? Cohesive art style between the artists that you guys might want to discuss and agree on before you guys start working. The other thing is like the color palette. Well, I mean that's relating to like the mood board, but I had issues before where it's like some like the colors were not really discussed. It was just kind of like, okay, we need this asset, this asset, this asset, but we didn't discuss maybe like the overall tones and colors for these assets, and altogether at the end it looked kind of like cotton candy, like Candyland, like merge file, because it was like everyone is like, oh, I thought we were doing like purple, and then someone was like, oh no, I did it pink, and then someone was like neon green, and I was like, oh no, this is not working. So I would say like on top of deciding a cohesive art style, maybe also make sure you lay out like a common color palette that like everyone kind of agrees on, that kind of fits the mood of what like of the game that you're going for.
Yeah.
A good program that I know of is called, well, there's a lot of them. So there's a lot of like mood board, that like a color palette type of programs you can use. The one I know, I'll also link it. It's called Pure Ref.
Pure Ref?
And it's like I'm gonna link it here. There we go. It's also like one of those like mood board thingies. But I remember last time when I used it, I don't know if it changed since the update, but last time when I used it, you could just, any picture, you just drag it on there, and you could kind of make a cohesive board right away. Like you don't need to like do the download and copy and then paste it on a Google Drive. Like you could just directly drag it on it. It was just like a faster way to make a mood board. But I think like having a cohesive color scheme is also very important. I think that really affects visually how the game will come out. So that was like a thing I wanted to point out. It's small details, but it's kind of like, you should set that up early when you're discussing the game rather than after, and then going back and tweaking the textures or tweaking the design again just to fit that. Same thing with fonts. Like your game is most likely going to have some sort of font for the UI. If you are going for UI, right? You might want to, I don't know, settle down on the same font, so you're not doing a different scene with different fonts.
I would say like, just spend like 2 minutes. It takes like 2 minutes maybe just to choose like a nice font. Game like Unity's like default font is like Arial or something, which is like really basic and really boring. It takes literally like 2 minutes just to go on the internet and try to find like one that looks nice and that everyone agrees on. I think like that's a good thing that everyone should do is find a good font for your game as opposed to just like a basic one.
A good website for fonts too is, well, I mean, I think people probably know this, but it's Google Fonts. Like most of them are like open source and like they're just like great to use. But it's not like we're selling the games or anything. But it's like they have a large collection of nice, like basic but nice fonts that is not Arial. So I'll link it there if anyone wants to take a look. There's also plenty of like free fonts website, like Free Fonts 101 or something. Like there's a bunch of free websites too.
Yeah, usually I'll like find cool fonts or something, and then go on a sketchy website, and then
and then you just download it
and get a virus.
No. Oh no, don't get a virus. Do not to do during a game jam. Do not get a virus. Please do not do that. Just be careful when if you're using stuff from online, like external assets and stuff. Just I mean, we're not really selling the games or anything, just in case. I don't know. I'm always like, I stress the importance of just double checking the licenses. Not to say that you're like gonna sell the game or anything, but just in case someone decides to sue you, we don't want to get sued
Yeah,
for a game jam. That's like stupid.
definitely.
But yes, or credit them in some sort of on a certain scene at a certain page in the bottom of the corner of the description. Just make sure you credit them too.
Yeah, or
'Cause,
you
yeah,
could do like a in
point
like
there.
the menu page, you could do like a
Right.
credit score
Right.
thing. I guess I wanted to explain like so for a good way to like organize your art is to use Sprite Sheets.
Right.
So for example, I have one here. Like these are just different examples of trees, and it just kind of gives the person maybe designing the game like an easy way to access all of them. And also if you want to modify them later on, like let's say you want to add a swing set to the tree, instead of going to every single tree individually, you could just work on them all together. And
Right, because you edit it directly. Yep.
and then like to on Unity, for example, like you could just, there's like a setting here, you go on sprite mode multiple and then go on sprite editor, and you could just kind of select them individually like that, and I'm not doing it very well, but it doesn't matter. And then you apply that, and
Right.
then magically all of your trees will be like completely separate from each other, and you could work with them and like that. It's a good way of like giving the level designer some choice. Like these two trees, for example, are almost exactly the same. It's just like a slight different color, and if you're trying to decide like the color scheme of the like a forest you're making, you could do I want it more lively looking, or do I want it more kind of grim? And it's just an easy way to organize things. Yeah.
Another great place to find, I just remembered, another great place to find like models or existing like assets is the Unity store itself through Unity.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yes.
Oh,
Rosie,
yeah.
you want to show them on your screen?
So on Asset
Yes.
Store,
Yes, let's show them the asset
I wanted
store.
to mention this. I completely forgot. So
all
yeah,
good.
on Unity there's always like Asset Store. If it's not there, you just go on Window. It's like Asset Stores right here. So you just click that and it'll like open. And here you could look for basic maybe like level. Well, I mean you could look for characters as well. So
Yes.
I don't know. You just search what you want. And you could
yes, 2D, and then the
pricing $0, of course.
Do the free assets too.
Yeah, make sure you don't spend money on assets.
Yeah.
And these things are really cool because sometimes you could find some that have a variety of selections of characters, or even like entire tile sets that you could easily get access to, and you just download it. I think you need an account. Oh yeah, it's gonna ask me my account. But yeah, you have to have your Unity account, and you download it, and I think it will automatically just go into your assets. It will add a. Oh no, actually it won't automatically. You have to import it, I think, somewhere. Am I wrong?
Yeah, you import it into the project. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you download it first, and then you have that. It's linked to your account, and then you can import it into this specific project.
Yeah,
afterwards.
there you go. So you download it first, and then you import it, and it'll have like the folders with. Usually it's pretty organized. It'll have like maybe like environment, characters, all the good stuff. Yeah. And that's
roller. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And
Yes,
I'm
keep going.
saying like there's no issue with using pre-made
Yes.
assets, especially for a game jam, because like we don't really have that much time. Like, it is cool to do your own art, I would say, because it's something maybe you could add to your portfolio. But if, for example, you're a
Yes.
team of like only programmers and none of you can art, maybe
Yeah.
maybe you could use
It happens.
pre-made.
It happens.
Yeah, use pre-made things, and no one will judge you for it.
No, exactly. I was gonna say that. I was just like, if you're a good modeler or like artist, like 2D artist, like, and you're comfortable and you're efficient and you're fast to draw, like, by all means, go ahead and make your own assets, right? That's like extra bonus points, right? But like Rose said, if you're like a team of all programmers and it's like I can't do art, or like I don't really, that's not like, you don't have the time, nor like, I don't know, you don't know how to do them, then it's really fine. Like, there's a bunch of beautiful like already pre-made assets on the Unity store too.
Yeah, that's true. You could contribute to concept art. Concept art is oh yeah,
Right.
actually, speaking of concept art, like another good thing to do is like take inspiration from games that you like,
Yes.
and you could kind of like look at images of like the type of art that they use, and you don't need to like, for a game jam, I don't think you should like make an entirely new style of art, or like an
Oh, that's
entirely
hard.
yeah, exactly, or like a
That's
completely
really hard.
original character. Like it's okay for you to like inspire yourself from other games, and you know, pick and choose what you like.
Exactly.
So I wanted to mention that when we mentioned before that you should avoid like very complex models, and I forgot to mention that. So maybe for this it might look less visually appealing. It looks very simple and maybe boring. But actually, there's like really easy ways to make a very simple looking model look very, very, very detailed without compromising the performance. And to do that is by having like a very detailed UV or like textures. So I just took like an example from like World of Warcraft, because World of Warcraft has like these huge worlds, and like they use a huge amount of models. But if you look closely at the models, you'll see that the like this rock, for example, is actually just a couple of polygons. Well, I guess I can't really see like the number of polygons here, but I'm assuming that these are maybe only a couple of polygons, and what is actually putting all of the details is like the small lighting, the shadowing on the sides. It makes it look three-dimensional without actually adding polygons, like without actually making it three-dimensional as it seems to appear. So it's a good thing to like do illusions in that way.
Call it like cheat your way in if you want, but it like call it kind of like, it's like quote like cheating, but like in a smart way.
Yeah.
But that's smarter because it doesn't compromise the performance. Like, it's less taxing on the performance of your game.
For example, like this turtle, these are all polygons, and it's like, okay, yeah, obviously there's like bumps and things, and you could see the turtle very clearly, but you could make an equally as kind of visually appealing turtle without all of the polygons involved. So
right.
If I do like low poly turtle.
Also, you can actually compromise using 2D images in 3D worlds. Let's say if you make a forest where you see it from far, you can use the images as trees and then make them face the camera.
That's too.
Exactly.
That's actually
That's
another
a good
way.
idea. Oh, yes. So here's like an example of like a turtle that looks visually appealing and actually is very simplistic when it comes to the number of polygons. But you can see there's like some depth. It's like an illusion, you know? So, yeah, that's something that instead of spending too much time on a model, maybe spend more time on the color scheme if you want.
Right.
Because it might, well, first of all, like the colors are easier and less pain. Like, well, they won't hurt the performance. And once you color it, you could fix changes later on, as opposed to like models. Like sometimes, if you increase the number of polygons, you can't go back, and then you're stuck with like a high polygon model for the rest of your game making process.
Yes. Just made me remember something really important. If you guys are making your own assets, please keep versions of. I'm kind of anal. I keep versions of every iteration, but please keep previous versions of anything, because the thing is, if let's say you're making what's a big thing you could make? Let's say you're modeling a huge castle for your game because you need a castle, right? And then you start like building your castle, and then at some point someone's like, oh, we don't need 3 towers, we just need 2 towers. Like you gotta change it for some sort of design that like later on you guys decided. It's easier to go back to a previous version and rebuild it rather than deconstructing your or like rebuilding from scratch.
Yeah.
Either deconstructing your like already existing castle back to a previous version, and like it's easier just if you have a saved version. So one thing I do is like before any, I don't know how to explain this, like modifier changes. Let's say you're increasing the number of polygons, you're increasing, I don't know, you're doing a really big dramatic change in design. Please save a version.
Yeah, well, actually,
of it before.
That's definitely something that I think a lot of artists should always do, is just like always save all the time.
Just keep saving.
Like, Control S all the time, because like I said, like maybe you accidentally make like a really like highly detailed, well, maybe your the model you make has too much detail on it, like too many polygons, and then you forgot to save it to like a version that had less polygons, and then you're stuck with the high polygon one.
Right.
Like, you're gonna have to redo it from scratch if it's too demanding, which is actually something that happened to me, unfortunately.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So so save.
Even if you're making 2D stuff, let's say you're making, I don't know, the start screen for your menu and you're making the background, right? You're painting it or you're coloring it or you're drawing. Please also save versions of it. Save as. Like click save as and save it as a different version. Because I've had times where I've worked on, let's say, a painting for a project. Maybe I spent like the entire day on it, maybe like 8 hours, and then the program crashes and you restart from scratch if you don't have a saved version. So like I'm just trying to avoid you guys having to go through the pain and suffering of redoing it again.
Yeah.
So please save and keep a backup all the time.
I just wanted to show this, like so if you want to do like a simple game with like pixel art, I found this website earlier, pixelart.com.
Oh, awesome.
Draw. It's just an easy way to like I have like a canvas to do pixel art. Usually I use also like paint. I mean, I guess you could use any like
drawing software.
Drawing tool. I'll just like resize this to maybe like 64 by 64. And then here, also make a good advice is to always have, I mean, this I guess goes without saying, but also always have an invisible background.
Right.
Don't keep white backgrounds for your images, because then they're not really usable. There's another easy way.
Unless your game is white in background.
Yeah,
but then
it's in that case it's okay, but yeah, just try to have the background invisible.
Right. I don't know if people would have time to like learn this, but a really good texturing. So this is more 3D model.
Mm-hmm.
A good texturing software is Substance Painter. I don't know if you guys know about it. Here, I'm just gonna I think they have a free student version that you guys could. I also suggest this to download the software before the actual game jam starts. Do not download the software during the game jam. It might take you a while. So just make sure you guys have them ready before. And like you can see on Rose's live stream, basically they have a lot of pre-built-in materials and stuff. And basically you just have to, if you're modeling, you have your UVs, you export it.
Yeah.
And then you can directly open the FBX model inside this program, and you can drag and drop textures.
Nice. That's cool.
It's really, really fast. And it's really pretty. And the textures are usually really good quality too. So that's like a thing that you guys could use if you don't want to go into Photoshop and paint your own textures. If any of you are doing this. It might slow down the game performance though, because they might be heavy. So that's the only concern.
And if it does, like I said before, you could just
yes.
make the illusion
The
that
turtle.
it has bumps, and yeah.
Oh, we have a lot of.
I have
a lot of reference.
So if people have missed it, I made 3 Blender tutorials, and so I just finished editing the last one today. So you guys could go to our club's YouTube channel and kind of, if you want to learn how to do basic modeling, you could watch those 3 videos, and I think I teach you enough for like a game jam, because we don't really need to do super highly detailed models that'll be used for movies or anything like that. For a game jam, we want the simplest things possible, and I think the workshops kind of show you all you need to know for that. And after this workshop, I'll post the last video.
Right.
Is there anything else we should talk about?
I wasn't sure if we should talk a bit about UI. User interface.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, I don't know if some game jams I've done UIs, some others we just didn't do UI because we didn't have time. So I think it might depend on the game and what you guys' priorities are regarding the game. UI is something that is there, that is it makes the game a lot nicer and more fluid for the new players to pick up. It's a lot more it's more instructive for them to pick up. But UI is also something that's not necessarily a focus, I would say, until much later in the game making process.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you have
UI is actually surprisingly hard.
Right.
Because
that too.
You always have to take into consideration how natural it is for the player. So when you're playing a game, it needs to be kind of without question for them to know where to look at.
Yes.
So let's, for example, I guess we could talk about an inventory.
Yes, that's a good example.
So if you have the display of an inventory for your character in the game, first of all, you don't want the inventory to take 90% of the screen, obviously. But you also don't want it to be too small. You want it to be situated in a place that is very natural for the player to look at.
Right.
And you don't want it to distract the player from the game. So if, for example, you have a game that I'm trying to think. I guess I could use the game I made, the shopping game.
Yes.
For us, we had a lot of difficulty with the inventory because we basically had two of them. We had one which was the items that you currently had in your inventory, and then we had a list. And what we decided to do is only show the current inventory that you had on your, well, while playing. And we gave the option for the player to look at their list by clicking a button. And I think that like made the play experience a little bit better, because then you don't want UI that's like static on the screen and never changes, because that's kind of like useless.
Right.
So you really want to pinpoint like the parts that will be crucial for your game experience, like like life, for example, like in the Zelda, you always want to be able to see how much hearts you have, because it's crucial for your game experience. But things like how many, what you have in your inventory, I guess I'm talking about like Breath of the Wild or something.
Yes.
Like you don't need to know all the time that you have like 3 extra
Apples.
sticks, you know?
or sticks, yeah.
Yeah, like it doesn't need to be constantly on the screen for you to know. So you have to really like discuss what's crucial for the game and what maybe could be optional.
Right.
And you have to
So
also
scoping of it.
Yeah, and also you have to kind of discuss like where in the screen would be like a natural place for the eye to look at, and it wouldn't be like too hard.
Yes, I was gonna comment on that. The position of the UI is very important.
The positioning, yeah.
I've done, like, let's say like the health bars or like the inventory, right? It's like you could place. There's different locations you can place it, and I think sometimes designer, yes, Dan, that's a good point too. You can use UI as an in-game element, because UI is kind of, it's a support element that I feel like is not considered at the start of the game making process, but then it comes through during the game making process, because it can be a very good feedback element, a very good gameplay element. Like, it depends on how you use it, right? And then the position is very important. Like, the inventory could be up or down or anywhere. And from a designer point of view, sometimes you might think, for you, it's like, it makes sense that, I don't know, the timer is in the center. It makes sense that is like center top, and that's perhaps how a artist / game designer would see it. But I strongly suggest to have someone playtest it, because if you see, let's say someone playtests your game and they do not see the timer and they didn't know that the timer, like, time ran out, maybe that's a sign that the position of where you placed it is not a good place, and to like to be reconsidered.
Yeah, so that's you have to playtest like
I suggest playtest,
because maybe like the player while playing won't know, like, will forget where the timer is, and yeah, it needs to be also, I guess, also don't overwhelm the player with too many things.
Yes.
Too many UI, because if there's like too many things you have to keep track of, then it might overwhelm the player. But yeah, so you need to position it away for it to be kind of obvious for the player. And I wanted to also mention, please avoid having like the game here and then like the UI and like a bar on the side or something, because like you want, if you have like a bar, wait, maybe a better example is like maybe like the entire top section of the game here is like the UI and everything is here, and then here's the game.
Right.
So you have your hearts, your
life. Everything's there. Oh god.
Yeah,
okay.
And then you have like a timer or something. So maybe it looks, you know, kind of organized if everything is like together at the top. But the problem with this is that you're wasting so much potential space for your game. Like this wasted space here could be used for the player to see more of the world around them. Like they're missing so much. So please don't do like bars of like nothing like this. that is just like taking away important space.
Right.
Try to like incorporate as much as you can of the UI with the world. So like have the hearts actually, you know, like on the screen, and don't have anything obscuring your vision at all.
Right. That's a great point. I was gonna mention a bit about the consistency, like the art consistency. So if you are incorporating even but not just between models and assets themselves, but kind of like not just like art style, but also if you're doing a UI, like a user interface, make sure what's on your user interface is consistent with what's, if it is related to the game world, make sure it's consistent. Because let's say like I pick up an apple that's red, and then on my inventory it's a green apple icon, then that's very, very confusing. Not saying that will happen, but I'm just saying like these are small details. Just make sure they're kind of coherent and they match each other, so it's like a seamless understanding.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. That's
like
good.
don't pick up a carrot and then show like, I don't know, a like green carrot. Like that does not make much sense, right? If the carrot is orange in your game, it is orange on the inventory.
Yeah.
Do not change, like, and also like usually like you could draw your own icon. Of course that works too, but also if you could just, I don't know, I guess you take like the exact shape of that carrot and put it in the inventory. Like that's a lot more easy, like faster to understand, and makes more sense than if like you see the icon of a carrot, but it looks a little different from the carrot that you just picked up in the game world.
What I do, a fast way to solving that problem, which is what we've done once, is so for like a 3D game, you have like 3D models, so it's like kind of hard to do like a 2D representation of the model on like this is a banana. I don't know why I'm drawing this. So basically for like a 3D game, you have like the 3D model, and then you're trying to draw, if the 3D model is a banana and you want a UI element of your game to be also a banana to represent the literal 3D banana, a quick way, like just take a picture of it, like screenshot it. Like at this point, it's not worth like spending time doing the UI and the 3D model separately. So yeah, that's what I do usually.
Yes.
If I had maybe more time, I would maybe take the time to do maybe like a 2D representation of the banana, but like 48 hours you don't have time.
Not really, no. And it's okay to do that. That's like a very easy and really smart way to do it. Yeah. For brainstorming, I guess I'm jumping around a bit, but I was thinking like not just consistency in like UI and stuff, but I was thinking if you're putting some sort of asset in a game environment, sometimes, I'm not saying this happens all the time, sometimes artists might have like, oh, I really want this to be like really cool looking and in a certain way, right? But make sure it's consistent with logical understanding in a way. It's like my game with spaghetti in space, like I understood it was like really funny, but then like it did not make sense at a certain point. For the players, because they were like, okay, but I'm in space, and then there's like aliens and then spaghetti, but like I don't understand why there's spaghetti, and but the artists, it's because the artist team, we really wanted spaghetti in space. I do not know why, but we just really wanted spaghetti in space. And it's kind of, I thought like maybe it would have been better to take a step back and really think logically from a game perspective. It would have been better to have, I don't know, maybe a spaceship in space.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess like don't be too random. Yes, Sleepy, it's a real game. I'll see if I can find you guys the link. We made a game with spaghetti in space. It's not joking, it's really. I thought you were like using that as an analogy.
No, that's why we had the example. Because they wanted to make a game about aliens, and I was like, okay, and then aliens, someone made a pun, Italians, but Italians. And then after Italians, and then someone was like, oh, let's do spaghetti in space. And then I was like, what the hell? And then so we went with it because everyone loved it. And you know, good vibe for the entire team. But at the end of the day, our game did not make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have to explain your joke to other people, then you're going in the wrong direction.
Right. So my whole point is like just
If-
like artists can have crazy ideas. Just make sure it makes sense.
If you have to explain your art to the players,
Exactly.
I think you're going too far. It should be kind
Right.
of natural and innate for the player to understand the context.
Right.
Yeah.
At least for a game jam game,
Yeah.
I would suggest that because it's not like the game jam playtesting usually maybe 2 to 5 minutes. Not like they have like 1 hour to explore the entire game. If you make it like a full game for someone to play about aliens in space with spaghetti, then sure, like they'll have time to explore and understand why that what's happening.
You
But
could
for
do like maybe a
prototyping-
backstory, you know,
Right,
like the
right.
spaghetti like took over the planet, but no, you don't have time to do backstory. So
No, I suggest not. I do not suggest. But yes.
okay.
Is there anything else we'd like to cover?
I think we're good. Do you guys have any questions?
Yes, for art related stuff. We shall wait.
Also for
Oof.
if you're like a programmer and you have no art experience, there's no harm in if you want to do a stick figure game, go ahead. Like maybe that's the theme of your game.
Yeah.
That's all stick figures. So you could work with that.
Like you can have a game with really nice art, but no working mechanic is not gonna be like a fun game to play. If you have a fun game to play mechanic wise, even if it looks really bland, but it's really fun, it's still okay. Like a lot of games are very simple. It's just squares and cubes.
Yeah.
What am I saying? It's
Like
cubes
Minecraft.
and circles. Exactly. It's cubic, but it's so okay to play, right? So don't feel like, oh, if you're like lacking you feel like your team is lacking in the art department, that you're at a disadvantage. Really, no, not really. Like, don't worry. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But yes, we just wanted to discuss a little bit about.
Is there
these
an easy way to make bananas?
points. 2D or 3D?
Yeah, which type?
What kind of banana do you want? 3D banana. Rose. You want to know how to make a 3D banana?
I know how to do 3D bananas. I have a couple of assets, 3D assets. Maybe I could provide for you guys.
Right.
I'm not gonna spend time like making one, even if it should take like 3 seconds. But I'm just saying, like.
I remember posting in the resource channel over in CGD like a bunch of free 3D pixelated bananas and fruits.
Oh my god.
Let me check.
Let me see.
Like, okay, I'll be expecting bananas in the games for this weekend.
This is how you make a banana. You go on Blender, go in edit mode. You take a face, you extrude it, make it smaller. Take another face.
Yep.
Extrude
that's
it.
Exactly.
Make it smaller, and then take this.
There
face,
is a banana.
Move it to the
Curve it. Just
curve it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like this, and then maybe extrude this a little bit more. There you go.
That's a good banana.
The banana.
Bro. That's a good banana.
And then you could like maybe take these edges and make it a little bit rounded. I don't know.
Yes, bevel.
I don't know what I just did there. But anyways, there's a banana.
Right.
This is how you do a banana.
If you guys, people who are modeling, please avoid n-gons. So like, no more than, like, try to avoid more than 4. How do you call them? 4 corner.
Yeah.
4 corner shapes on your models, because then you might have a lot of rendering issues later if you export them into the game and stuff. It causes a lot of glitching and a lot of issues. But you probably know.
Like here, like this is an n-gon. This is
Right.
what she means. Like, okay, if I make an edge here.
If they do model, like try to
there's
keep everything.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides to this face here, and that's not good because well, first of all, it's not great for furthering the progress of this model, it will like make it more confusing. But yeah, it could cause some rendering issues later on.
As well.
Also,
If you want to
make
do
sure
that
to if you're doing a 3D model, make sure to, I think it's Control, no, it's Shift N to recalculate normals. This is only on Blender, by the way,
Yes,
so I don't know what it
yes.
is on like other things.
This
Just makes sure that all of the normals are like going the right direction. Like if I do there, these are the normals, like the little blue lines. Just make sure that they're all like facing outwards, because then you'll have backface culling. Oh my god. Backface culling, which basically in the game it'll look invisible. Yeah. No.
Computer graphics.
Yeah.
But yes.
So yeah. Little tips and tricks. I mentioned this all in my Blender tutorials anyways, but I mean.
Right. Go reference the tutorial Rose did. And also on, even like apart from that, there's a bunch on YouTube too.
Yeah, definitely.
Blender tutorials, there's a lot of them to teach you how to do it. And you just follow, like they tell you to press the surface and like extrude, like you just follow along what they're doing. And usually they're pretty well presented.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any questions? There's anything you guys would like us to like maybe go through more?
You're welcome.
No problem. Exactly.
Okay.
If you guys do have more, like you can always leave them like you can always like ask us later too. Like we're always very open to like help you guys.
Yeah.
This obsession with bananas. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Every time I do a game, there's always like banana. Something about bananas gets, yeah, every single time. It's pretty funny.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess thank you everyone for joining us. Like,
For joining us.
I hope this will be helpful, and well, at least you enjoyed the conversation.
Yes. Thank you guys for listening, and like keep us posted if you have more questions or anything. We'll be there to answer you.
Yeah. Have a nice night, everyone.
Yes. Have a good
tomorrow.
evening, guys. See you tomorrow for programming and for smaller tools. So like we mentioned Twine in our Game Jam 101 discussion earlier this morning, but we're going to discuss like more introductory tools for game making. That is not necessarily Unity or Unreal, like the bigger engines. We're going to talk to you guys about smaller engines. Yep.
All right.
Smaller tools, I mean.
So look forward
to
that.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, see you guys. Bye.
Bye.